Welcome to another episode of the Savage Patriots here on a Wednesday. For those of you on Facebook, we'll be live here soon, but you know how this goes. When you go live, they shut down all of it to private. Then you got to go and redo it. So
That's
hang on a
right.
second before I get into the meat and potatoes of this stuff. There we go.
Get it done.
Public. Good. Now, whoo-wee. They revoked Trump's immunity claim for the J. It was for the J6, right? Or was it for that? That's for the J6.
No, yeah, I think it is. It's a federal court. It's Jack Smith's case.
Yeah, but they're still not going to hear anything about that until for another couple of months. I don't think that's going to matter. And also, I think that's all going. That should affect also the documents case too.
Yeah, yeah. But that also would apply to Joe Biden and Mike Pence and anybody else.
That's different.
Yeah.
It's like
it should. It should. I should say
the
it
Biden
should.
one is like this. The Biden one is like this. Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
From Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Diplomatic immunity, Mr. Riggs. You know, that's why I put him on the thumbnail, people, in case you're not hip on pop culture and on movies. Joss, is it Ackland? I think was his name. He played the bad guy from South Africa in Lethal Weapon 2. And when Riggs and Murtaugh went to arrest him, he pulled out his ID and says diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic
and
immunity.
then at the end of the movie, he said it again. I got shot right in the head. So anyway,
Boom.
No more. It's been revoked. So here we go. With Trump's immunity claim being revoked. But this is the Supreme Court, or was it just the local Supreme Court?
No, it was an appeals court.
Yeah,
I've got the article for what they actually said. So this is coming from the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court. We cannot accept former President Trump's claim that the president has unbounded authority to commit crimes that would neutralize the most fundamental checks on executive power, the recognition and implementation of election results. So it's based off of the election results.
So to be frank, this means really nothing.
Yeah. No. And so for the purpose of this criminal case, former President Trump has become a citizen Trump and with all the defenses of any other criminal defendant.
So that's actually better. I'll tell you why I think this is better.
It's a good thing.
And I think of course, the left never thinks. Let's just be honest about something. People who are voting Democrat never use their brain. And I don't care if you're a friend of mine that vote Democrat. I'm saying it out loud. If you're a Democrat diehard voter, you don't use your brain. You
sure
can't use your brain and be a Democrat. I'm sorry. That pretty much has been proven throughout in the entirety of the existence of the Democrat Party. If you got a brain, you're not going to vote with the Democrats. They don't think farther than their nose, in that when you remove certain, they think, protections, what you also open up yourself for is more investigations into you as well.
That's right.
Because now you have left me no other recourse but to bring up everything. You can no longer say, well, he can't do that because he's president, or you can't do that anymore. Nope. Now you have just taken away not just my barrier, you've taken away yours. Anything I can think of to combat what you say I've done, I can bring to light. Now, take for instance, if Trump were to bring up the entire, not just the clips that the MSM will bring up about his speech at the Capitol, it will instantaneously show everybody that none of the things that are being pushed were true.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't even know what they're thinking this will do, because it's I should probably rephrase. Any normal thinking judge will see this and say, no, they're there.
Yeah, no, they're there. That's what they're hoping. They're going to be throwing it up to the Supreme Court, and we'll see how they take it. But I think one of the lawyers arguing for the case is saying that immunity is not granted to a president. Every future president who leaves office will be immediately indicted by the opposing party. Without complete immunity, a president of the United States would not be able to properly functionally.
Which is good. Now think of it. Think of who's liable now. This is the good part. Even if they get Trump.
Yeah.
Bush.
Yeah.
Okay. Obama.
Yeah.
Clinton
Yeah.
and eventually Biden.
That's right.
Those are the four right now that have mass amounts of things to bring to court over, not just sued, not just jail time, not just treason alone. They have enough to bring to court over. War crimes they can be brought to court over. So this is crazy. If they think they're doing something precedented against Trump, they're also shooting them. Like I said, they don't think past their nose.
Yeah.
They think, I've got him. And then, exactly, Rick. Look, Ricky.
It wouldn't just be 9/11. We're talking about the entirety of the Iraq War. We're talking about an unjustified attack on a sovereign nation that led to the mass deaths of civilians.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. And what they're betting on with this, they're betting on Trump not getting elected so they can kind of push it off. That's what they're hoping. But if Trump gets elected, you know he's coming for the jugular. He's coming. And they're betting on him not getting elected. But
listen here, Trump is petty. Trump is petty naturally. Just naturally, he's petty. now give him a gun that has all kinds of ammunition in it and make him petty. You don't stand a snowball chance in hell against that. Now he gonna come, and he's gonna come at you laughing too.
Yeah.
Okay, so understand the same thing you're gonna bring against him. And I know you look, Democrats, I know this is gonna be difficult for your little peon brains to handle. Like, I get it. So I'm gonna try and put it in kindergarten terms for you. It's like this. It's like if Johnny takes Amy's macaroni picture. You see, when Johnny then makes a macaroni picture, Amy's gonna go get her big brother to bring his matches to burn the ever-living crap out of Johnny's picture. And Johnny's gonna sit there crying because now he can't even put it back together the way Amy could. He doesn't even have anything, no macaroni or paper. It's all gone.
That's right.
So go ahead and mess with Amy. Go ahead and mess with Amy, and then when Amy's big brother shows up and destroys everything you got, all materials, have fun with that. I just don't see why they're celebrating over this. I'm trying to figure it out.
It's bad for everybody else. Like, if you really honestly think about it, if the president and the executive branch doesn't have immunity from criminal cases, that means the executive branch as a whole should be held accountable for criminal actions based on the direction of the president.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We already know that. Nikki Haley is the establishment pick.
She's not going to get elected. She got beat by no one.
No one. She got beat by nobody.
She got beat by no one.
Nemo came out to play that day. If you don't know, I'm going to give you a Latin lesson. Nemo literally means no one in Latin. So Nemo won the day.
Yeah, I mean,
y'all know the Beatles, right? The Beatles songs, right?
Yeah.
You remember Nowhere Man? You know the song Nowhere Man? He's a real nowhere man living in his nowhere land, saving all his nowhere land for nobody. That's
nobody.
Nikki. That's Nikki right now.
Yeah.
She doesn't belong anywhere, and nobody wants her for anything except for the Democrats. Why? Because she doesn't have a brain either.
Yeah, and it's true that's the reason they're pushing Nikki Haley, because like I said earlier, they're betting on Trump not getting in, and if he doesn't get in, they can put if Nikki Haley gets in, she'll go along with
the establishment.
And she's not getting in. She's not.
I mean, we should hold Bush accountable for
everything.
Iraq, because look at what's happening right now. I mean, this is breaking the last couple of hours that there's multiple targeted attacks by the U.S. Against targets that they claim are from Iran. And now there's an uprising in Iraq to attack the U.S. embassy, which we'll probably see in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, America. But
America.
Yeah, but it's when he does go after all these people, man, they're going to cry foul. And this is a Democratic playbook. So you can do it to Trump for things that are even close to what Bush, Clinton, and Obama did. But the minute he goes after them, the left is going to scream foul. Oh my God, he's going after a former oh my God, he has immunity. I don't think anyone in a position of power should have any immunity at all.
Well, we have to also look at Obama too. He killed 2 U.S. citizens without charge or trial under his administration. He drone strike them in a foreign country we weren't even at war with, even. And it was one of them was a 16-year-old kid. I was like, oh, it's just collateral damage. He should have had a better father. That was the administration's view on the matter. It was so callous. It wasn't even like, hey, he was a military-aged male. He just said, hey, he should have had a better father. Maybe he wouldn't have taken a drone strike to the face.
Yeah.
So tell me how that's not at least manslaughter. At least.
It's more than.
Yeah.
It's more than, for sure.
Like we were saying, they're all going to come. They're coming, and Trump is coming. Just to know that he's coming for them, and exactly what Coy said, he's going to hold them accountable, just like they're holding him accountable for the things he did. He's going to hold them accountable for their crimes against humanity, and exactly what it is.
You ever realize how people that are caught doing something, how their first knee-jerk reaction is anger, right?
Yeah.
And then from anger, it turns into pointing the finger and saying, well, that one's lying. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then when they realize no one's believing their lie, it turns into fear. And in fear, they actually restart their whole method of anger, blame, and anger, and blame, and anger. Take, for instance, Biden's recent speech about the border. Now, hear me out. I'm going to say something. He blamed MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump, right? Okay.
Yep.
Didn't he also say there is no crisis at the border?
Yes, he did.
So what is he blaming MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump for? I just want to know, if there's nothing happening at the border and there is no issue, there's no big surge, there is nothing wrong there, what exactly are they to blame for? For no surge? I mean, I'm trying to figure out how you're going to point the finger when you just, like, not even a week ago tried to tell everybody that everything's fine.
Yes.
I mean, I just don't understand how people can watch this stuff and not realize that they're talking out their behinds. I don't get it.
I mean, you look at Mayorkas. Mayorkas in 2021 said there's not a problem at the border.
Right.
Fast forward to 2023, Kamala Harris said the same exact thing. Fast forward to 2024, Joe Biden says it's the MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, and
Right.
there's a whole thing with Mayorkas and his impeachment trial and how two Republicans switched sides at the last minute because Scalise was getting cancer treatment. Yeah, and torpedoed the impeachment process for Mayorkas, even though everybody knows the guy's at fault for what's happening at the border because it was literally his job.
Rhinos will rhino.
Rhinos will always rhino. So here's Rachel Maddow celebrating the case ruling.
The thing that was interesting to me about this ruling was that from the very beginning, you're right that there is complicated jurisdictional stuff. There's stuff that lawyers will get that other people won't get in here. But from the very beginning, it was very blunt on stuff that there's been an effort to be fuzzy about by people in the political arena. It says at the very outset of the ruling, there was not a peaceful transition of power. The reason the Congress was attacked, that resulted from Trump's rally, from which thousands of people then marched to the Capitol and attacked Congress. It's very blunt about those things. It calls it an unprecedented assault on our system of government. Just very blunt about these things that there have been efforts to obfuscate. And I thought that was helpful. But I also just thought it was helpful, I think, for us as a country in talking about this, that they did outright mock the claims that you have to be impeached and convicted in the Senate before you could be put on trial for committing murder or committing any of these other crimes.
Which would include Obama for that, because he did, in fact, commit murder while in office of a U.S. citizen without proper adjudication.
I'll say my piece after she's done her diatribe.
I just think it's funny. This is also the same woman that lied and undermined the administration for 4 years over the Russiagate information, which everybody knew was a lie, and they kept pushing it anyway.
And she also said that once you got jabbed, you can't ever get sick. That's anyway, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of lies that she's responsible for. But yeah, well, let's take her word for everything.
And I think that it's good that they basically rebutted what I think of as the common sense claim here, which is that other presidents like Richard Nixon, like even Bill Clinton, like other presidents in their real lives have shown, even Trump in his presidency has shown and has articulated that they knew they could be put on trial after they were out of office. They've all known it. It's a common.
Then why has none of them ever been put on trial, especially Bush?
Ain't that weird?
Right? Right?
Well, you got to look at that. Her target audience. Her target audience is the uninformed. So it's easy.
unintelligent.
And the unintelligent. It's easy to fool those people because this is where they get the information from. Period. They don't research, they don't look, they just turn on their TV with their cup of coffee every morning for 8 hours a day, and they watch this. You go to the airport, you see people like this. You go here, you go to schools, you see people like this. This is how they feed people this false narrative, and people run with it because this is all they watch.
Yeah. So, I mean, why wasn't, okay, well, let's even go back to that. Why wasn't Nixon charged after he left office, even though he resigned? And I think Johnson pardoned him, right? That's what happened after that. He's like, oh, I just pardoned Nixon, and that was it. That was the end of that, right? even though Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration did something much worse than Watergate and still have yet to be charged with anything, right? Even though they don't have immunity, according to this ruling, right? None of them do. Just because you do something while you're in office doesn't mean you have immunity. So that means everybody's up for the chop and block. If you commit a crime, you should be. At least that's how the justice system's supposed to work in the United States, right? Doesn't matter who you are. You're supposed to be held to account.
No one's above the law.
Yeah, nobody's above the law except for everybody we like, right?
Yeah, unless you're a leftist. The only leftists are above the law. You know, they just brush it off like it wasn't nothing. You know. Well, if you're on the right, if you're on the right and you steal a candy bar, you know, that's headline news in America.
Yeah. We literally have a U.S. Senator, Menendez, who was caught with literal gold bars as bribes from foreign countries, and he's still not charged with anything. He's indicted, but he hasn't been arrested or taken into custody for any of that stuff.
Anyway,
but he's still doing his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he's immune, I guess. You can just take bribes, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Common sense thing that many presidents have conceded, including Trump himself while he was being impeached. And those things, I think, they just operate in the public sphere as well as they operate in the law. And we really need that. We need that from the judiciary right now so people really understand what's going on here.
So you need it until they come after one of your favorites. You need it
until they come after Obama or Clinton.
So let me make sure I get this right. You're now you're in tune with the courts, the Supreme Courts, when they rule in the favor, even though it's against the Constitution. That's one. But when they rule in favor of the Constitution on things like Roe v. Wade, then you get mad at the court.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how that works, because the last time I checked, if you're going to claim that he is in charge of, or that he incited an insurrection, or as some of these other people like to say, incited an erection, if that's what you want to help us believe is that he did that, with no proof, just like the good people on both sides think, and you want us to believe that he had already said that I'm sure I can be indicted if I were not president, which he has not said ever.
Right.
I would like to know then, how are you going to rectify your claims on former presidents that you have approved of, people like Bill and Obama? I don't see how you're going to talk about stuff like, oh, the courts are the courts are the courts. But when the courts are actually doing their job, you get mad at them. And when they go after people you do love, you get mad at them. But it's only when they go after people that you dislike that you're all of a sudden, I praise the courts for their wonderful decision. And this is such a grandiose thing, such a groundbreaking and earth-shattering choice that they've made. Just pick, okay, either you're for right and wrong, or you're only for right and wrong when it suits you, which tells me you're not for right and wrong. You're for indifference, but indifference on your side. And I don't think you can run a country like that. You've never been able to run a household, much less a country like that. The problem with the MSM is this, that they have a grip on the dumb, and the dumb seems to be getting more traction and becoming more prevalent in today's society. If you go all the way back to Bush era, Clinton era educational statuses as to what they wanted the population to learn, you realize back then they were creating a stupid generation. They were making sure that the next generation of people were morons, and it worked. It worked. The people who didn't come out of that stupid were people who did work outside of school, who had parents that pushed them to learn outside of the school system. Majority of them, though, went through the school system and learned absolutely nothing about how to learn. They regurgitated information. They got degrees and didn't know what to do with them. And you find them today pushing propaganda. So I've yet to understand exactly how this entire system works, but I get it because you teach people to be uninformed and then you inform them the way you want them to be informed. So it makes sense.
And it's something that the media has said multiple times about, we are here to give people information. They need to get the information from us. This is why they're so against independent journalists. This is why they're so against, different sources of media that go outside the mainstream media, because they feel that they are in control of information, and that's the only information that should be put out. And this is why people are dumb, because they claim that these people are experts on what they find, and they take that and they run with it and regurgitate it. And then they come back and say, oh, well, we were wrong about this. And these dumb people that regurgitated that initial information will still run with the information that they said was wrong. This is how dumb our society is.
It's insane. Oh, look, the smartest one.
Oh, yeah. Nikki Haley.
Miss Intelligent. You're muted. You're muted, Coy.
This is how you know she's down bad for the establishment, is this clip.
Look at what happened this week. Here you have Republicans lost a major vote on the border. Republicans lost a major vote on Israel. Donald Trump was found that he will not have immunity in all of these court cases coming up. The RNC chair is fired. All of this chaos is happening around us, and Donald Trump's fingerprints are on every bit of it. We can't continue as the Republican Party to go forward with this chaos. You don't defeat Democrat chaos with Republican chaos, and that's why we've got to see a change. Look at what happened.
Yeah. That's the reason why we're all messed up.
Hold on.
It hurts me brain, sir. It hurts me brain.
Okay. I can make it make sense. I can.
Okay.
I can. I promise you, I can. Okay. So, nope. I lied. I can't make it. I can't make it make sense.
We can't fight chaos with chaos. That's what she's essentially saying.
What's funny about her, this is the same lady that has been part of this establishment for the last 12, 13 years in politics. And you get a lot of politicians like this. Joe Biden's done it. They've all done it. The one that's just been in politics, for decades. They always come out and talk about change when they're in a position like running for president. But why weren't you trying to make this change 10 years ago? When you first got in office, you were a new face 12 years ago. Why weren't you talking about this change? Now you have to make change. You weren't talking about change when Donald Trump was running. When you wasn't talking about the change when Donald Trump was president. All of a sudden now it's all these problems because he's out of office.
She was also his ambassador to the UN, who she defended multiple times. But it's like as soon as she got out of the office and she doesn't have a job anymore, she's like, yeah, F that guy. I don't need to do anything.
They all do that.
They all do that, man.
I can tell you that I'm more convinced now than ever that the election will not take place. And I found a new reason why I think so. Brand new reason.
Haley?
No. And it will be the immigration issue.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something that will be controversial to many, but it will upset a few as well. And many may not agree with me on this one. Okay. So here we go. I've thought a long, hard time about this, and I think it's okay for me to say this. They're going to kick off a war within the bounds of the United States before the 2024 election cycle because of immigration. People, just like you saw in New York with the attack on cops and no arrest. That's going to happen more and more. The problem is it's not going to be Americans who are white that are going to fight back. They're going to piss off gang members who are black. You see, what's going to happen is that they started in Chicago. Just watch for that. Now, remember, I had made one prediction before about Eric Adams. You notice that you haven't heard anything about the case anymore, and he's no longer calling the immigration crisis a crisis. You realize that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But forget all that, right? That's not important. You realize that he let them go now. You realize how it's happening, right? I told you that if nothing else, he would go and apologize to them and nothing would come of it. And he would no longer talk about it being a crisis. It happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Prediction number 2.
That's the same thing with Killer Mike.
They're going to go into the inner cities like that and allow them to run roughshod over the inner city black people. The problem is gang members do not kowtow to anyone. You see, unlike the majority of people that will say, we're going to fight back, white people, let's be honest, today, white people should be afraid of the law because you're the most targeted. Anything you do in rebellion against the government will be seen as treasonous, as an anti-government, and you will be placed in jail. Not so much with black people. Against what most black people think that you will go, it's not going to happen. The people that are going to end up fighting against the immigrants, and I'm going to say it, they're going to kill many of them, it's going to be the gang members. You see, because they're going to try and infiltrate their turf. They're going to try and take away their money. They're going to try and take over their drug markets. That's not going to fly. Pookie ain't going to have it. And you're going to see them go off.
Ray.
I'm telling you now, they're going to go off on a lot of these immigrants in these inner cities, and the streets are going to run red. And eventually they're going to have to say, all right, you know what? This ain't working. This ain't working. And if this is not working to get the black vote, and they're mowing down our new voters, we got to call off the election.
Yep.
That's my new prediction. Now, I don't know if it will happen, but I'm seeing a lot of signs of where they're going with this nonsense. They're not. If you watch where they're releasing a lot of these migrants to do this nonsense, where they're taking homes, building homes, taking apartments, broken down shacks, and look at what they did in Chicago, right? They went in and refurbished dilapidated buildings to hand to these people.
Yeah.
All right. They didn't do that for black people at all, but they're giving them all these places and remodeling them, building them up.
Yep.
Now watch, they're going to get tired.
Yep.
They're going to get way more tired and faster than white people.
Happening.
I'm telling you now.
And look at Massachusetts. You know, they're building those apartment complexes for immigrants when they have their own population of homeless people, homeless veterans, all types of people that need a place to stay. They decided once immigrants started coming, we're gonna build all these apartment buildings with taxpayer dollars to house these immigrants, and we're gonna give them a stipend and we're gonna give them money. The American people are looking at them that are affected by this like it's a slap in the face. You know, we're out here begging for money every single day, starving. Our families are starving. And then there's some states, some areas where being homeless is now illegal. Well, why not do what you're doing for the immigrants? House them, put them in places to live. But no, you're just going to make these homeless people more disenfranchised by now making it illegal for them to be homeless. And then they're going to turn around and see you housing all these immigrants. And like Marlon said, it's going to cause an uprising. And maybe this is what they want. They want an uprising.
They do, but I don't think they're ready for it.
No, they're not, because it's not going to go in their favor. It's not going to go the way they want it to go.
Think about this. You're looking and you're going to expect something 10 times more potent at all than the riots that happened over George Floyd.
Yep.
Now, mind you, these are people who they really thought that the Democrats had their back. And they rioted because they thought Donald Trump was bad. Now they're witnessing something that Donald Trump told them would happen. They're witnessing stuff that the Republicans told them would happen. You're going to be displaced in exchange for somebody else who they can manipulate more than you and get their vote. Biden told you this. Don't forget that interview he did on Zoom. He told you that you are going to be replaced.
That's right.
And there was nothing you could do about it because you'll have to work with them and not white people. He said this out loud before he became president. Now you're seeing him actually doing it. And none of y'all are saying, look, eventually this will become something where they're going to put up a migrant in a shelter, and the very next day you're going to see that shelter on fire, and women and children and men are going to be burned up in it.
That's right.
And they can't do a single thing, because what you're going to do, you're going to have a Soweto event where you sweep through the ghetto and you arrest every black person. What's that going to make you look like? A racist. Now you just got put on the global market as a actual genocidal regime. You brought in migrants to displace your citizens, and they rebelled, and you killed them and arrested them. You don't. This is going to become crazy. Like I said, it's not going to be white people to kick this off. It's not. As much as we might think it's going to be old Johnny in the back of his truck with his shotgun, or somebody in a camo vest and stuff, that's later. What's going to kick this off are inner city people getting sick and tired and realizing I've been bamboozled. But it's a little bit too late. It'll be a little too late, because by then everything will be going in their favor, and the only thing you have left to do is to pull exactly, AJ, a Black Lives Matter movement and burn everything down.
That's right.
Now here's a bad side. Black people, this is the bad side. They're going to force you to burn down your own home to get rid of an infestation.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to sacrifice a whole lot more to get back something we told you would lose if you did this. So in a lot of ways, it's a hard lesson, but I still believe it's going to take place. This is why they're not showing a whole lot about what Black people are saying about this immigration thing. You notice they're harping a lot on MAGA, 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 and they're not showing on the news anymore what Black people are thinking about this nonsense, even though they're rebelling a lot. They're keeping that quiet because they don't want the world to know that this is going against the minority. And look, if you tune in Friday, it's going to make sense. When you tune in Friday, we're going to have somebody tell you exactly when this all started. And it's going to make you pissed off, but we'll tell you all about it. It'll started with this. Okay? And it's true. We have proof now. So I just know that this next election cycle is going to be very testy. And I do not think it'll take place. But I also believe you're going to see something so egregiously violent within the next couple of months that it will be hard for them to shut it down. Very hard.
I think you're right on a lot of that, because I was just reading through a thread. The Republican Party is trending on Twitter, and there are multiple posts of people claiming that Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin is nothing but propaganda, and that he should be sanctioned from the EU, and that he should be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Then them saying, going back to the Russian narrative of how Donald Trump and the Republican Party is nothing but basically puppet governments for Russia. This is Nancy Pelosi saying exactly that.
About this is that we've all praised the courage of the Ukrainian people fighting for their democracy, and in fighting for theirs,
I hate that word.
First, fighting for their democracy when they're not allowed to have presidential elections. I just want to point that out.
I hate
for
that
democracy writ large. We had overwhelming votes. We had over 300. The last vote we took in the House for the military assistance for Ukraine. The EU funding over $50 billion, a huge amount of money, much more than, it's a lot of money. That's largely for the economy, functioning of government, and the rest.
Oh,
the
sure.
Military assistance is what they need, and that's what our funding is.
Why do we need to fund Ukraine? Every time, like I keep asking this, like they're saying this is supposed to be a border security bill, but all it is a bill to give Ukraine and Israel money.
You know, when it comes to, like, I guess we're on Tucker. So when it comes to Tucker and Russia, what are they afraid of? You know, I was reading some excerpts from it, and, you know, Putin didn't say too much about the election if it was stolen, because he didn't want to talk about that. But he did say pretty much that Trump was a better president, and the line will be back open once Trump gets back in office. He said that Biden has not talked to him since the inauguration. So they're talking all this mess about Biden, but he's saying that the Biden administration has never reached out to him to have any talks.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to understand that there's going to be a lot of truth coming out, and this is what the establishment is afraid of.
Yep. But it goes back to the election. This is all about this year's election and how they're gearing up for it and preparing.
We're not talking about that, AJ. We're talking about pay attention, watch the bouncing ball.
So it is a total embarrassment, but that's the least of it. It's a tragedy that we are not supporting Ukraine. Now, I'm not giving up on it. I do think that when the Speaker was asked today at his press conference what he would do if the Senate sent over the Ukraine package without immigration, and he was non-committal on it. So I'm hoping that so many of the Republicans support aid to Ukraine. So many of them do in the House of Representatives. Now, they do have a pro-Putin caucus there, not officially a caucus, but advocates for his.
Wonder where we heard that before.
Vladimir Putin. Who benefits? Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump.
See?
It's connected.
It's connected.
But how?
It's
Just because you
connected.
say it's connected doesn't mean it's connected. What?
It never was true. Like, we know this from all of the adjudication of this stupid Russia collusion hoax thing that happened for years, and they're still on it. They will never let it go. And saying how the Republicans are pro-Putin because they don't want to fund a foreign war in Ukraine. It's like, dude, because we don't have money. We're broke. I don't know how many times we have to tell people this. The United States is broke.
Can we swap? Can we swap Michael Jackson for her? Like bring
Yeah.
Michael back because they look the same. Okay, so you'll never know who's who. But at least he made more sense than she did. And come on now.
But again, going back to my point where I said that the evidence is already there. We already know that this Russia thing was a farce. It was made up. We all know this, but this is what the smooth brains that pay attention to these people, they still believe it, because people like her, the smooth brains that watch stuff like this constantly, all she has to do is say it. But it's already been proven. If they go back and look at the evidence, they know that Russia was all fake. And this is what they do just to keep people, hating Trump, pro-Putin, and all this other crap.
Yes, and not only that, but here's the problem. Trump is the kind of celebrity like someone like Chris Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's not the kind of celebrity like, say, Taylor Swift. See, when you push a company line like Zelensky does, and like other, those other celebrities, they'll back you. But if you're a celebrity that they don't want to talk about and don't toe their line, they're not going to let you into the party, into the club. This whole idea that because you talk about Russia, that somehow Trump's involved without having any, and this is what you were saying, bro. They just have to say, oh, Putin and Trump are connected, and they'll be like, yeah, he is. They don't ask how. They don't ask, where's the paper trail for that? They don't ask, how do you know that? What's your proof? They say, yeah, it makes sense. Why? Because you guys are seeing all the stuff in Russia, and look at Trump, what he's doing to America. It's the same. Like, okay, hang on. We are friends with Germany, right? At least
Yes,
some people are. And we're also friends with Ukraine, right?
Sure.
What do those have in common these days? Still have in common these days.
Nazis?
Oh. And how do the Democrats behave?
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
That's not surprising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Birds of a feather. That's all I'm saying.
I still find it funny that we fought World War II to keep Germans out of power, and then they still ended up in power in the UN anyway.
In any way.
Yeah, and that's funny because that guy with the mustache, that weird guy that did all the hand movements, he labeled a certain group of people in his country a certain way. He blamed everything on them, everything political, everything that was going on in their country. He would say them, and then in his party would attack those people. It's the same thing when Biden gets up there and says those MAGA Republicans. He might as well say those damn what.
Yeah.
It's no different. It's the same tactic. Look at it. Look at his. Look at his rallies. Look at his speeches. Look at the backdrop. Just look at everything. And we talked about this the other day on the Hooch. I was like, why does he have that lighting? Why is there smoke and all this other stuff up there? It's
Why is the
dark.
production value making him look like Palpatine? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Well, what it is modern day brown shirts. Okay, we know that the Ukraine still has brown shirts actually, so they still are moving with that.
Literal
but
brown
but
shirts,
they're not bad people. They're fighting the same way they don't look
They're
at
freedom
Hamas
fighters.
bad. They love Hamas. The Democrats love Hamas. They say they stand with Israel, but they are all about free Palestine when Palestine's actually under the regime of the Hamas regime. They have no problem calling that particular thing friends. They have no problem calling Zelensky friends when they both share one very important thing. They're both terrorists, but they have no problem doing because they're doing the same thing here.
Right.
They're terrorists here. The Democrats are terrorists here. They just do it more sophisticatedly.
Yeah.
That's it.
They're low tier terrorism is what they do.
Yeah.
Just the little stuff. So as long as you don't kill anybody, everything's fine. Everything's free game, right? Here's also another history lesson for people who don't remember. There was a certain group of individuals in Afghanistan in the 80s when the Russians invaded, who were called freedom fighters, and they were the Mujahideen.
Mujahideen, yeah.
Yeah, who later was led by a man named what? Osama bin Laden.
George Bush. Oh,
George Bush. No, yeah.
Wrong
Osama
terrorist.
bin Laden, who was a freedom fighter, who was a Saudi-connected individual going to Afghanistan as a mercenary to fight the jihad against the Russians, the commies, right? And we funded them to defend Afghanistan from the commies.
And if anybody wants to know the history, there's a movie out there called Charlie Wilson's War. Go watch that movie, and you will understand how America funded these people.
Yeah.
Or
They
watch
funded-
Rambo 3.
Or Rambo 3. But if you look at other groups that are considered brown shirts, a former brown shirts, you got Black Lives Matter, they can be considered brown shirts. You have Antifa, that's another form of a brown shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they hype these groups up, man, the same way, the Nazis did, right? What did the Nazis, I'm gonna say it like that, the Nazis do to the brown shirts when they were done with them?
Yeah. They killed
And
them.
they're going to do the
The-
same
it-
thing.
I hope
to
they do it early.
Antifa.
It's
They're gonna
called
do
the
the
Long
same thing.
Night of Knives, and if you don't know what that means, you should look it up and read history because that's exactly what it is. And like, here's the thing: people also seem to forget is that the Antifa originally started in Germany as the communist arm brown shirts against the brown shirts.
Ain't that something?
I know, right? So like communism, the communists were trying to take over Germany. They just happened to lose against the brown shirts. That's it.
That's right.
So if they would have taken over, they would have been the brown shirts of the communist order in Germany.
I got bad news for you, Ash. I got really bad news for you. I'm sorry to bear a bad news. I really am. Okay. Here
You're already on the list. Just by watching this show, you're already on the
done
list.
there
You're
already,
welcome.
my child. You're done there already, and I'm sorry. Join us, okay? You're with us
Yeah.
now.
You're on the
with
dark
crew.
side.
You're already with your cellmates. You're with your cellmates right
Yeah,
now.
we are. Yeah, we already know this podcast
Yeah.
is getting watched.
So any veteran is already on the list anyway. So Michael and I have already been on the list
You
of
know,
people
they're
that
good.
are potentially dangerous to the administration of the United States.
Yeah.
The corporation, to the CEOs of the United States corporation.
I know they love to harp on this number 91.
91 indictments. Yeah.
Indictments, right? They seem
can
to
indict a
have
ham
no
sandwich.
problem talking about Epstein having been indicted when he was first,
Yeah.
arrested in the very, very first.
Mm-hmm.
They want to say, well, he's not been charged. Whenever it's somebody on their side, he's not been charged fully, just an indictment. When it's Trump, he's already in jail.
I mean,
and he's already
it's
served time. Like,
yeah. Epstein didn't kill himself, but here's the thing: is like, okay, fine, I'm all for that. That's how the judicial process is supposed to work, right? So then we should be indicting Bush, Obama, right?
All of them.
Menendez should be in jail and should not be in the Senate right now for taking bribes, literal gold bars.
listen, Pelosi
Of a
should
foreign
be in there
nation.
for inside trading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hillary
And-
should be in jail for that.
Nancy
Haiti
Pelosi should be in
for
jail
Seth
for
Rich.
insider trading.
For Seth
Yeah,
Rich.
yeah. Seth Rich, she should be in jail for that. She should be in jail for Haiti. She should be in jail for things that happen in Africa. But no. That's on their side.
Don't forget Mina.
Yeah.
There's
What,
tons.
what
of
about
things.
that? What Podesta? All these.
What
people
about
that should be
Biden
locked-
being indicted for the secret documents, just like Trump? So those are exactly the same. They're 1-to-1 comparisons, right? A president
No.
and a former president.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, who
You
knows?
see, Biden was a senator. Big difference.
You can't talk about
Right.
Biden. He's an
He
elderly
was a
man.
senator, for crying out loud. You can't.
He was a
You
senator,
can't indict a
right.
senator.
You can't
wasn't
talk
president.
about old people.
Is Cheney still alive? If Cheney's still alive, we should be indicting him for freaking the war in Iraq.
We ought to
should-
dig up John McCain and indict him also.
No, okay.
Basically.
Now, hear me out. Okay, you mentioned my sore spot. Okay,
Which one? Cheney?
No, McCain.
McCain. Okay.
I got in some deep trouble for things I've said against McCain when I had my first YouTube account.
Hmm.
And I still have not changed my view about McCain. I think a brain tumor was too easy of an exit for that jackass.
Yes.
I think a brain tumor was the nicest way any simpleton and traitor could possibly die. I honestly, he is one of the very few human beings I wish suffered more before he died. I'm going to say that, and I will be happy to say that. Why? Because you do not do what he did and then try to get into the political side to do even more damage.
Yeah.
No, he deserved every bit of what he got in his death and more. He is what I would consider one of the worst human beings outside of the Mustache Man. And y'all can go look him up as much as you want because it will be 100% true. He sacrificed soldiers. He sacrificed America. He sacrificed everything he could possibly do. And he was not no POW. He was a POS. Get that completely right. The same way I feel about him is the same way I feel about Hillary and the same way I feel about Bill. But he has a special spot because he tried to do it twice. He did it while in the military, and then he tried to do it to become president and do it even more. He did it a whole lot while he could make and affect laws.
Yeah, and the problem, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you, but a lot of times they think veterans are some, untouchable class and protective class. There's a lot of veterans I can't freaking stand, and I will talk about them. I don't care what they did for their country. And this is how they get McCain. McCain could do all this wrong and all this bad, and because he serves his country, you shouldn't say anything about him. No, you're going to get the smoke just like everybody else.
No, he was not a good guy, Lydia. Like, not even in the least.
No,
not a good guy at all.
So as we're talking about this, this is trending now. It's the kill list. They're claiming that Zelensky put Tucker Carlson on a kill list. The community is saying that's not a kill list.
I could
it's
see
not
it.
A kill list.
But why?
What they're saying he's a pro-Russian asset. That's what they're claiming now, and that he deserves to be on that. So
yeah, they're afraid. They're afraid of something.
Now imagine. Okay, I know what they're afraid of. Normally, when you saw people interviewing Putin, they were from what? MSM, right? 60 Minutes, MSNBC, CNN. The big names, Brokaw. You might see Anna Montour going there, or you might see. Some of those stupid names, and they always ask these softball, cornball questions of him, or they try to make him say some, or they ask questions already preconceived or pre-noted answers that they want. They're not looking for a real answer. They're trying to incriminate him, right? Okay. No, Bob Dole wasn't good either. So
we still forget Kissinger. Kissinger got out easy too.
There are so many of them. It's like when you look at it in deep, you're like, was there ever anybody in favor of America? No, and that's why we're here now. But when you look at what Tucker might have asked him, which we don't know yet, I can bet you money Tucker asked him some of the most in-depth questions, and the answers that he gave would incriminate not just presidents past, because you know how trust me, Putin knows a lot of the presidents past. And he would talk about the current president as well as members of the Senate and Congress. If Putin dropped bombs, and I'm betting you money he also has receipts on these things, that would explain why they don't want that interview out. It's not propaganda, it's information, and they cannot afford for you to know that. Because for years, they've tried to stifle it from your ear. He will have, trust me, he will, as much as people might think Putin's an autocrat and he hates, that's okay, ex-KGB, I get it. I'm not talking about who he is as a person. That does not negate what happened between him and other countries.
That's right.
Okay, so don't act like America's hands are all clean and no blood on it. Tons of blood dripping, in fact, and still some organs in the palm. So when he might come forward with some information and said, you remember this war? Or remember this event? Or you remember this treaty that they wanted me to sign? This is what was actually in the documentation that they wanted. Imagine him spilling those beans. No wonder they want Tucker out of here.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that I find funny about this. The same people that are saying Tucker's a traitor to the country for interviewing Putin were the same type of people that were praising Osama bin Laden's letter to America just a couple of months ago. I just want to point out that crazy bit of information that people send like memory holds somehow, that we had literal generations of people celebrating Osama bin Laden's letter to America. So
yeah,
you don't have credibility after that.
You look at everybody who's come out with the truth. I mean, Edward Snowden. what's his name from WikiLeaks. You know, all these guys were labeled as these just bad, evil people because why? They were feeding you the truth. So, like you said, Tucker's going to go over there and he's going to hear it from the horse's mouth. And I mean, you know, Putin, like you said, is going to show receipts. Here's what they sent me. Here's what I replied. Here's what they said. But like I said, Putin's already come out and said that, you know, Biden's all angry at him and the Biden administration, but no one's ever reached out to him to talk to him about diplomacy.
Yep.
And he said he's not opening the line again until Trump gets back in office.
True or not, I don't know. I could see some merits to it, but I have not investigated that enough to know one way or another.
I don't know either.
The same way I don't know about Fauci and Mother Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard stories about that too, and
I've heard the stories about Mother Teresa being an awful person,
and
too,
I can see her being a man too. I've heard all that, but I don't know. What I do know about both of them is they're all evil. That's all I know.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing I know of all of them. Whether they came from an evil parent or not, they ended up just as evil in their later days. So
there's nothing more dangerous than a person who believes they're right. No, like even if they're wrong and they refuse to admit they're wrong. Like that's the other part of that quote for me, is that they refuse to admit when they're wrong. And so these people believe they are morally right in the worst ways possible.
But they have no morals. So how do they know they're morally right?
They believe. I said they believe they are morally right.
But they don't have an idea of what a moral is. They can't even describe a moral.
That's what they believe. I'm saying what they believe, not what I believe, but what they believe. They believe they are morally right.
They believe they have no morals. They honestly believe they have no morals. They say they have something akin to morals, but I don't think they have.
Yeah, they don't admit that they have any. Yeah,
you know, with Tucker and Putin, I think a lot more than just what we think is going to come out. I think when it comes to like human trafficking, child trafficking, I think Putin does know a lot of truth about that. I think who was that group that attacked the capital of Russia not last year?
Wagner.
The Wagner group. I think something true is going to come out about the Wagner group. I think something with the Wagner group is going to be stated that America funded them to attack. They didn't just turn on us. America gave, and I think something like that's going to come out, and that's what they're afraid of. Then they're going to see that America and all these other NATO nations are funding, you know, all this propaganda. That's what they're afraid of. They don't want that truth coming out. And then, you know, 2024 is the year of truth. The veil is going to be lifted.
It's going to be a wild year. It's going to be a wild year.
And
we're only in February.
Yeah, this is only the beginning. You wait till about April. You wait till about spring.
When it gets closer to November is when things are going to ramp up. We're on the let's see. We're on the climb, right? We haven't reached the climax yet. The climax is probably going to be like midsummer, maybe end summer, and then it's going to go downhill as we head towards November.
I think we're going to see something in April, the beginning of April.
Summer's all when the crazy things happen. I'm telling you,
summer's used to things. That's, you know, the crazier things have happened in our country. I don't hold anything to a trend. I think they're desperate, and they will probably go crazy right around, you know, April. Right around April, I think.
Okay, so you got April. I got like midsummer, end summer. That's what I'm guessing.
Tomorrow at 6
is
when they're going to drop the apparently drop the interview
with Putin. Okay,
with Putin.
Oh, we can do a special live.
We can cover.
No, I won't be around. You can. Hooch can do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was talking about. We'll cover it tomorrow, because I was going to cover part of the border bill too. Because
if you want to also stream to the Savage, you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can double stream.
Yeah.
Double stream.
Mike has access to that anyway, so he can just hook it up and set it up if you need to.
Okay.
I won't be around tomorrow, so but if it drops at 6, it'd be an amazing thing to have a reaction to.
Yeah, we'll do a live react, I guess, to Tucker's thing.
That'd be great, because
if it drops at that time. So
the lemmings are already all over X right now, saying exactly what the news media is saying.
Yeah.
The first look I did, I said Tucker Putin, right? Of course, the first thing that pops up is Tucker's account. Next one is this old dingbat named Marlene Robertson. Tucker Carlson is not a journalist and never has been a journalist. What he is, however, is a Putin apologist and propagandist who will parrot exactly whatever Putin instructed him to.
Yeah.
Ain't that funny?
Yeah.
It's so funny that they straight off the top, they go straight to the exact same thing that the MSM is saying without any other proof other than MSM told them that.
Yeah, and all their little flying
They told
monkeys are just
me.
going to regurgitate exactly what she said. You're going to see it trend. They're all going to say the same thing. They retweet or say the same exact thing. It's just going to get out in the ether, and they're all going to be just regurgitating. You're going to see it on TikTok. Watch. They're all going to be saying exactly that.
Period.
Yep.
Because they know what's coming. They know the truth is going to come out. And Tucker's not going to come out and just put out some bull crap in a live interview. You know, I don't think
But he's also not going to care what they think.
Yeah,
That's the best part about it.
He's going to.
Look, Tucker's going to clown a lot of these people, and I'm here for it. I am here for him clowning the mess out of people for coming after him because he don't care. He's worse than us. Okay, Tucker is worse than us. He got zero filter. We have to have some. He don't care at all.
Though he has been a little more reserved in his famous laugh. If you see him being interviewed by Russians, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's very
protect
calm.
that man at all costs. Just understand that Tucker Carlson did not hurt himself. Just know that.
No.
Just know that.
You know, it'd be funny because, like, what would happen? So, like, if Tucker did the interview, right, and they didn't like the interview, and they immediately got arrested in Russia before heading out, they would be praising him as a noble journalist who was trying to tell the truth about Putin. Like right after they were saying he was a traitor to the country.
I wouldn't be surprised if the internet started acting up tomorrow. They'd be like, shut it down, hit the switch. The Houthis cut the internet cable. Now we lost all our internet. The Houthis.
They somehow bombed all the deep underwater cables of the internet.
Yeah, that's something that they would say. What happened to the internet? Oh, remember
kind of like the Nord Stream pipeline. You know, I don't know who did it, but somebody bombed those underwater wires.
Yeah, they'll be like, you remember when the Houthis said that they were going to take out the internet cable to the internet across 90% of the world? Well, that's what they did right at 5:59 p.m. Eastern time.
I have a preview of Saturday. Okay. I'm not Saturday, Friday. With this individual. We'll have Corey on with us too for this interview, by the way.
Okay.
So, and we might possibly be streaming it to Too Strong as well. But I'm not sure about that because of the content of it, but it will be, like I said, it will be on Rumble. Because the content of it has to do with COVID. Now, just know that this individual worked in the Department of Health during the times of 2020, 21, 22. Okay. And this was one of the lines in there. This is an actual quote from Becerra. Okay. We know that the jibbity are killing people of color, blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at about 2 times the rate than of white Americans. We know. That is a direct quote of Becerra. Now, I want people to get this clear. If you take that and then you copy it on top of the fact that they got the black church to talk about it and push it, and then you open up the border and they're not jabbed, but all the ones that are here are.
Yeah.
You see the replacement theory coming into effect?
I see.
And they know. Okay. So it's going to be a very interesting topic because, like I said, he's coming with receipts because he was on the inside. And now he's out. He's going to be talking. So we're going to have this event on Friday on Rumble. We'll start off initially on YouTube so you guys can get, in and we can send you over to the Rumble podcast. But it's going to be huge. Like, it's going to be huge. So whereas before it was just hearsay, this is insider information with an actual whistleblower, exclusive to Savage Patriots.
Make sure you guys share when you see it.
So I'll drop the thumb on our page at some time this week, if not tomorrow, or at least tonight, so you guys can start sharing it around. and get prepped for that. It'll be big. It'll be a big thing. So we have 2 bombshells coming. This one and
Oh,
then
man.
And on that, Marlon, it makes sense because you remember when the jibbity jab first came out, what community was they really trying to push it towards?
they were.
Yeah,
Negroes.
you heard it. The black community, the minority community. That's all you kept hearing. They should be priority. They should be priority. So it makes sense. So this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
I know people are saying they were iffy about Elon Musk. I just want to leave you with this glorious tweet in response to Glenn Greenwald.
Let me bring it up. Hang on.
Oh, this is brilliant. So Glenn Greenwald says, we're the American journalists who conducted an even minimally adversarial interview with Zelensky, and Elon Musk replied, said, to be fair, it's hard to give them a talk.
Giving them head at the same time.
Giving a blowjob at the same time.
Yep.
Wow. Elon.
Oh, man.
I want to like you, man. But
I
that
do-
Neuralink, man, I
know.
can't like you, bro. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah,
I want
can't get down
to
with that.
feel like you're on my side, but I feel like you're buttering me up to put me in the toaster on 9 and just bring me out, unedible. I can't trust you.
I know, right?
Well, speaking of Neuralink, they have that new Apple Vision out now. That's another kind of version of it. Have you
Yeah,
seen that
it's
thing?
just different. Yeah.
There's no way I would use that. There's no way.
They trying,
So,
man. They trying.
They're trying to keep us tapped in to the fake reality when the real world is crumbling right in front of our eyes, and people's eyes they're opening up to see the truth. So here, let's give them this false reality to keep them occupied. The phones aren't working anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But don't forget, we'll be back on Friday. Big event, big expose, unseen before, at least from this individual who has insider information. He even talked about the lady that was the first one on TV that took and she just passed out. She's dead. FYI.
Yes.
Dead. She died soon
nurse?
after that.
The nurse.
The nurse.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, like I said, it's big stuff. And then tonight, Too Strong is going live to discuss the Shannon Sharp, not the interview you had with Kat, but the fallout on Shannon Sharp because of the interview. So we'll be talking about that tonight. Nothing happening tomorrow on Straight Talk or any other platform that I'm on. So just know that tomorrow is my vacation day. And then we'll be back on Friday for more discussions, both here, Too Strong and on Straight Talk. Jay Lee couldn't make it today. He had conflict of interest, not because he didn't want to be here, just so people understand that it's not that he couldn't. But make sure you tune in Friday. Don't forget to go to our page, buy our merch, like, share, subscribe, and comment on everything that you see. Most importantly, share. And we'll catch you guys back here on Friday for a groundbreaking exclusive on Savage Patriots. We'll see you guys later.